The courtyard buzzed with chatter, people arriving in pressed suits and flowing dresses. The sign near the entrance read, "Future Leaders in Tech, Annual Gala." Security hovered near the ropes, checking names and glancing at badges. James stepped out of his rideshare a block away. He preferred walking the last stretch. Helped clear his head. His outfit was simple, dark blazer, no tie, plain shoes. No need to stand out. Not yet. He walked up slowly, noting the architecture, the soft lighting, the kind of place that whispered wealth instead of shouting it. He gave his name at the check-in. The woman behind the iPad didn't look up. Name? James Ellis. She tapped, paused, tapped again. Her brows drew together. You sure you're on the list? I'm tonight's keynote. His voice was quiet, firm. Her eyes flicked up to him, then back down. Another tap. Then she smiled. Not the warm kind, the professional kind that masks doubt. Maybe try the general admission line, sir. This list is for speakers and VIPs. He didn't move. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That was when the man beside her, older, security badge clipped to his lapel, stepped in. You're not on the list. I'm gonna have to ask you to wait off to the side. James didn't argue. He stepped to the side and waited. He stood quietly near a potted plant just beyond the entrance rope. People walked past. Some glanced, most didn't. A woman in a red dress clutched her clutch tighter as she moved by. A man with gelled hair looked him over and kept walking. Laughter echoed from inside. James watched them. The ones who smiled tightly. The ones who avoided eye contact. The ones who stared just a second too long. He'd seen it all before. None of this surprised him. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Nobody came to check. Nobody asked questions. The woman at the table had moved on to greeting others. Her smile genuine now as badges flashed and white names got waved through. James pulled out his phone. No texts. No calls. Behind the rope, a group of young attendees gathered. One of them pointed in James's direction. They laughed. Not cruelly. Just casually. Like he was out of place. Probably assumed he was lost. Or staff. He checked his watch. It was nearly time. A second security guard approached. Taller, younger. His walk had more edge to it. You waiting for someone? He asked, arms folded. James nodded. I'm supposed to be inside. The guard glanced toward the check-in desk, then back at James. Who invited you? I'm the keynote speaker, James said, the same way he'd said it before. Calm. Measured. The guard's lips pressed together. You have ID? James raised an eyebrow. Do all the guests show ID? The guard didn't answer, just held out a hand. James didn't move. From the check-in table, the woman looked over again, sensing tension. She didn't come closer. This isn't about the list anymore, is it? James asked. His voice wasn't loud. That made it worse. The guard hesitated, just a second. Enough to show he knew. James looked past him through the glass doors. Inside, a banner hung above the staircase. His name, in white letters. Keynote address, James Ellis, 7 p.m. Neither security guard had looked up to see it. The silence between them stretched. James didn't fill it. The younger guard shifted, looked toward the entrance again, uneasy now. The woman at the table followed his gaze. Her eyes landed on the banner through the glass. Then back to James. She stood up, walked over. Sir, could I see your confirmation email? Her voice had softened. A little too late. James pulled out his phone, tapped once, and held it up. She barely looked. I see. I apologize for the confusion. The older guard stepped in. There's been a mix-up. You understand, it gets hectic with these events. I waited 20 minutes, James said. They didn't respond. There was nothing to say. He stepped past them, through the rope, toward the doors. Not angry, just done. Inside, a few guests had noticed. A man in a gray suit leaned toward his friend, whispered something while looking at James's back. His friend frowned, confused. They hadn't connected the dots yet. They would soon. The lobby was quieter than outside. Cooler. Carpeted. Chandeliers glowed overhead. James walked slowly, taking it in. Not the decor. The faces. The way some heads turned. The way others looked through him. He knew which ones would matter in a few minutes. At the bar, two men in suits laughed loud, glasses in hand. One of them spotted James and nodded politely, then leaned in to say something. The other turned and smirked. James kept walking. A woman in a silver blazer stood near a photo display. She noticed him, did a double take, then tilted her head like she was trying to place him. She couldn't. Not yet. He reached the main doors to the ballroom. A hotel staffer opened them without hesitation. Inside, the room was filled, round tables, name cards, soft music playing. The screen on stage already displayed his name. A few rows of seats near the stage were reserved. None of them had been offered to him outside. James walked the edge of the room, careful not to draw attention too fast. He wasn't hiding, just letting the moment build. At table 4, a woman nudged the man beside her, whispered something, eyes on James. He turned to look, then shrugged. Didn't recognize him either. Someone near the front, an assistant with a clipboard, spotted him, froze for half a second, then hurried over. "Mr. Ellis, we've been looking for you." She said it too loudly. Heads turned. James offered a small nod. "I've been here." The assistant blinked. "Oh, I didn't realize you'd arrived." "I did." The pause that followed made her uncomfortable. She tried to recover. "Let me show you to the green room." James looked past her at the stage, then back at the room. He saw it, eyes adjusting, whispers spreading, confusion blooming across certain faces. They were starting to realize, not all at once, but enough. The assistant led him through a side door, her pace quick. She didn't talk much, just a few nervous glances, a murmur about time running tight. James didn't rush her. The green room was small. A couch, mirror, water bottles on a tray. His name was taped to the door, printed in bold letters. He took a seat. The assistant lingered awkwardly, then spoke. "They'll announce you in about 10. You'll enter from stage left." James nodded. She hesitated. "I heard there was some confusion outside." He didn't answer right away, just looked at her. "I'm sorry," she added. "That shouldn't have happened." James gave a slight nod. Not agreement, not forgiveness, just acknowledgement. She left quietly. He sat alone for a few minutes. No one came to offer final notes. No one checked on him again. Outside the door, the hum of the event grew louder. He looked at his reflection in the mirror, adjusted nothing. He didn't need to. The lights in the ballroom dimmed. A woman in a navy gown took the stage, holding a mic with practiced ease. She welcomed the crowd, thanked the sponsors, mentioned the foundation's growth over the past year. Polite applause followed each point. Then came the transition. "Tonight's keynote," she said, "comes from a leader who's reshaped how technology can serve communities, not just markets. An innovator, a mentor, and one of the few people who, when you meet him, reminds you that calm doesn't mean weakness." She smiled toward stage left. "Please welcome James Ellis." A wave of applause followed. People turned, some still clapping, others pausing, uncertain. From the side of the stage, James stepped into the light, and the room changed. The applause faltered, not stopped, just shifted, like people clapping while trying to understand something at the same time. James walked to the podium, unhurried. His posture was relaxed, but everything about him said, "I belong here." From the third table, the security guard who had turned him away earlier sat stiffly, apparently invited as a guest by one of the sponsors. He stopped clapping first. At the back, the check-in attendant stood against the wall, arms crossed tight, face pale. She looked at the stage, then down. James adjusted the mic, looked out across the room. Some stared. Some smiled. A few exchanged wide-eyed looks. He didn't speak right away. That silence did more than words. It made people feel something. Discomfort, reflection, maybe both. Then finally he spoke. "Before we talk about innovation, I want to talk about entry points." He let the line sit there, didn't rush into the next sentence. Somewhere near the back, a fork clinked softly against a plate. Someone cleared their throat. Everyone else stayed still. "Entry points," James continued, "aren't just about doors. They're about how people see you before you even get through them. Sometimes before you've said a single word." No one moved. "I arrived tonight early. Checked in like everyone else. Gave my name like everyone else." He paused. "I was told to wait, that I might be in the wrong place, that maybe I wasn't on the list." Near the front, a woman shifted in her seat. The man beside her stopped mid-sip of his drink. That part hadn't been in the program. "I waited outside this building for 20 minutes. Not because I was late, but because I didn't look like the speaker." He scanned the room, calm, unbothered. "I want to talk about innovation, yes. But first we have to talk about assumptions." James didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. Innovation isn't just about technology, he said. It's about how we think, how we treat people when we don't yet know who they are. You could hear the tension tighten. Some of you in this room passed me tonight, he went on. You saw someone waiting near the entrance and assumed I didn't belong. Some of you looked through me. Some of you looked away. He didn't accuse, just stated facts. That made it land harder. At the bar, the two men who had joked earlier sat rigid. One stared at his hands. The other rubbed his jaw. James leaned forward slightly. If our companies, our ideas, our movements are built by people who only respect those they recognize, then how much potential are we leaving outside the door? Not a word from the crowd. Not anymore. James glanced at the rows of faces. You can't build for the future if you only listen to the people who look like your past, he said. No applause. Not yet. Just that quiet stillness that means people are finally listening. I wasn't offended tonight, he continued. I've been through worse. A beat. But I was reminded how easily we revert to filters, how quickly we scan for signals of worth. A suit, a name tag, a title. He looked down briefly, then back up. I didn't come here for an apology. I came to speak, to teach maybe, but mostly to remind you that people don't need to look like success to be it. A few heads nodded. One woman wiped under her eye quickly, as if hoping no one noticed. In the wings, the assistant from earlier stood watching, arms crossed, jaw tight, not defensive anymore. Moved. James let the room breathe, then shifted gears subtly but intentionally. Now, he said, let's talk about the work. The room relaxed just slightly. Relief, maybe, but not full. He launched into his presentation, clear, concise, compelling. He spoke about access to tech, how equity isn't a feature but a foundation. How communities thrive when they aren't just included but centered. Slides advanced behind him, but few were watching the screen. They were watching him. Even those who had doubted him, especially them, now sat forward, elbows on tables, faces fixed. He didn't raise his voice once. He didn't need to. His ideas carried weight not because of who he was revealed to be, but because he had always had them, even when he was waiting outside. And now they had to sit with that. When James finished, the applause came slowly at first. Then it grew. Not the usual kind. Not polite. Not performative. It was quieter but longer. A standing ovation where some stood late, unsure if they deserved to. But they stood. James stepped back from the podium, gave a small nod, then turned and walked off stage. No bow. No smile. Just dignity. In the hallway, the assistant waited. She didn't speak, just handed him his folder, eyes lowered. He took it, gently. Behind them, the ballroom doors stayed open. People still buzzing, still whispering, still processing. A few guests hurried out, maybe to catch him, maybe to say something. But James was already halfway down the hall. The man who was kept outside was now the one everyone followed. James stepped out into the night air, cooler now, the city quiet in that in-between space after the crowd but before the cleaning crews. His ride pulled up, same driver who had dropped him off. You done already? The driver asked, casual. James opened the door. Yeah, that was enough. He didn't say what happened, didn't mention the delay, the stairs, the applause. Didn't need to. As the car pulled away, he looked back once. Not at the building, but at the entrance. The rope, the check-in table. The place where they'd measured him wrong. In the rearview mirror, the driver glanced back. You were speaking tonight, right? James nodded. Keynote. The driver let out a low whistle. Bet they didn't see that coming. James didn't reply. Just looked out the window, quiet, letting the silence speak for itself.